Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to go over what the NHL rosters look like for me with my custom roster file here on NHL 23. Of course, available now on the Xbox Series S and X. Again, cross-gen, cross-plat. Does not exist, but if you haven't checked it out, I literally just published it. Nobody's found it yet. As the time of recording this, it is pretty late in the morning. Or early in the morning, I guess you could say. It depends on what your schedule is, but make sure to check it out. Tougie V1 is there, and as you can see in the description, uploaded before this is an explainer video that mentions the entire process, how I set things up, why I set things up. You will see overalls, potentials, whatever that you disagree with, that you might be confused by. I promise I explain all of it there. If you don't care or still disagree, then hey, cool, whatever. I'm not going to take personal offense to it because, as that video explains, it's not my overalls. It's not really my potentials. It just comes down to pure numbers, both the analytical perspective and the statistical approach as well, melded into one to come up with these results. So check that out if you haven't. Even if you have, refer back to it. I'll answer questions here in the comments, but again, I'm sure most questions will be able to be answered by that video. We will go through the creation zone a different time. Right now, let's start scrolling through the NHL. Again, we'll save the other leagues for a different time. These are the Anaheim Ducks. And, oh goodness, do I go through attributes? At least for the NHL, I will go through attributes as quickly as I can. Again, there will be the 99s there. All of that is explained. I promise all of it is explained in terms of that video and why things are the way that they are. I can't imagine anyone would want to copy this, but just in case you're an absolute mad person who wants to follow this process, well, then here is the information for you. But yeah, Anaheim ends up being a pretty interesting team. Shout out to Adam Henrique, who is still one of the most underrated players in the NHL today. Shout out to Trevor Zegras, the cover athlete. Of course, you knew we had to keep him with the ability to hit lacrosse moves a little bit easier. Arizona, arguably the worst team in the game. If we're being frank, it's a pretty rough look for them. I mean, you do have occasional bright spots, like, Lawson Krause, Machias Michelli is crushing it. That's, goodness, I can't even see the strength right now. I really should have turned it off. 99 strength, of course, it will be for most people. Shout out to Liam O'Brien as an enforcer. Of course, I mentioned in that video that it takes high top 6, high top 4, or high starter potential for someone to be eligible for an X factor or just an outright ability. You got to at least be an elite to get a gold, which is why the likes of Goss, Despair, Chikrin do not have them. I will explain something here in a minute as well with regards to Juuso Valimaki. This is to make sure that the Coyotes are cap compliant when you start a franchise mode, because otherwise the game will increase how much money Schmaltz and Keller are making, because they'll technically be under the cap floor. So it doesn't have a negative effect. He just makes a shitload of money for season 1. And of course, IRL, he signed a contract extension. And we'll see. By the time this is uploaded, who knows? Maybe this guy and others, Chikrin included, are a part of the Los Angeles Kings. Could very well be. Boston is an interesting one because they have been amazing. Of course, Linus Ullmark has that ability based on his abilities in the shootout, and of course with penalty shots as well over the past few years. Shout out to Charlie McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm. I still say Hampus Lindholm was the wrong guy for last season, but holy hell, is he the right guy for the Bruins this season. He is absolutely ridiculous. So is this guy, for the love of God. Please, re-sign him. I gotta be honest, I don't know why he has Relentless. Why did I give him Relentless? Well, he's keeping it for now. I don't know why I gave him Relentless, but he has Relentless. Goodness. Of course, one Brad Marchand as well. Good to go. Now, there is a player coming up where I have to explain something, and that is Taylor Hall. I did have to break the formula for two players in particular. Taylor Hall and New York Ranger Vladimir Tarasenko. Both, with the formula that I use, should not have abilities. If Taylor Hall does not have that silver wheels, it puts him on the fourth line when you start a franchise with the Bruins and plays Trent Frederick on the second. Likewise with Tarasenko, it'll play him on the fourth line right wing for the Rangers. So I had to break the rules on occasion for a couple of dudes, but for the most part, the rules remain intact. Shout out to David Krejci. Thank God he came back. Thank God, thank God. The Buffalo Sabres are absolutely ridiculous. They really are. Tage is insane. Dylan Cousins as well is insane, hence the high elite potential. Peyton Krebs is awesome. The Sabres in general, going to be a super, super fun team to use with these rosters, just for the sheer amount of abilities that they have for already established talents. And then JJ there as well. Gets the medium elite. He's on a great upward trajectory. Jack Quinn also gets the medium elite. So Sabres fans are eating very, very well right now. And then defensively, it gets even better. I mean, Rasmus Dahlin is unreal. The proud owner of a Dahlin goat head jersey. And then, of course, Owen Power is absolutely ridiculous. Now, of course, the downside of this, as always, is that this process, as I go through in that breakdown video, the explainer, this process started obviously a couple months ago, so not able to update certain things in regards to draft picks and stuff like that. So the Blues won't have their extra pick for Vladimir Tarasenko. It's worth keeping that in mind. But we did start it late enough that reverse retros were on these rosters, so that is pretty nice. Be able to have those. And of course, I mentioned this in the explainer as well. I'll mention it here now. If there are players that have their future in doubt, whether it be due to injury, Oliver Shillington is an example here where he's just missed the entire season due to what's being called personal issues. They have been moved over to international teams. I felt kind of bad about the Shillington thing, but it's obvious that it's something absolutely terrible, given that there has been no update whatsoever on what is going on. So I will say in a general sense, best wishes to him and his family, because that's never a good sign. Nor is it a good sign to have Jonathan Huberdeau playing on a team that's coached by a man who was coaching professional hockey, I'm sure, before Huberdeau was even born. Shout out to Jakob Pelletier. A lot of people disagree with that one. Again, you look at his upward trajectory since he's been drafted, where he was drafted, he has been insane and does have an incredibly bright future ahead of him, should a certain coach not pretend that he doesn't know who he is. Carolina with Sebastian Aho, who of course is ridiculous. Sperry Kotkaniemi is a grinder at this point, by the way. It's kind of insane. They've turned him into a defense-first grinder in Carolina, but that is exactly what's happened. Of course, Svechnikov has the ability to pull off the Michigans a little bit easier. Then on the right, it's a little bit weak at wing. Max Pacioretty is on an international team and edited. That is a gigantic loss for the Hurricanes, because he is an 88 overall for me in this game. Jacob Slavin, very, very good analytically, hence the 99 defensive awareness, but as you can see, he's not a big point producer whatsoever. Brady Shea, Calvin DeHaan, and Dylan Coghlan, Jalen Chatfield too. In goal, of course, we do have these updates, like Peter Kochetkov in the AHL. We'll showcase him off in a different video. Chicago, they are terrible. Somehow Alex Stalock is actually worthy of a half-decent goalie rating. I don't know how the hell he pulled that off, but he did. Defensively, it's kind of Seth Jones and his band of merry men, if we're being honest. Jake McCabe is still pretty solid analytically. He's not that bad. Caleb Jones, Jared Tenorti, Jack Johnson, and Ian Mitchell. Good old Ian Mitchell. Again, for the most part, strengths are 99. You can kind of tell what the strength is going to be by what the deking is. Those intertwine with one another. Patrick Kane is someone who is very much saved by the statistical approach, because analytically he is abysmal. absolutely abysmal. He is the reason why this year it wasn't just the analytical approach, it's the statistical approach as well. Getting an individual rating from each viewpoint and, getting the average between the two because, yeah, otherwise he would have been looking at like an 81 or so. And yeah, he misses the X Factor cut. And rightfully so. Chicago fans will disagree with that, probably what Jonathan Taves has, and I don't care. I don't care because again, not my numbers, just what this process ends up coming up with. Yeah, Chicago, obviously not a very good team. Colorado is frankly ridiculous. I mean, it's Nathan McKinnon. I showcased JT Compher in that little breakdown video. Landeskog, of course, has missed the entire season, but his career isn't exactly in jeopardy. Of course, Matt Nieto's back with the Avs. Alex Newhook still incredibly promising. Hence the medium elite for him. And on the right, Mikko Rantanen is Mikko Rantanen. He is absolutely insane. Valeri Nichushkin is one of the best defensive forwards in the NHL. Very, very underappreciated. Doesn't get much respect, maybe because people still think like, oh, he was drafted by Dallas, 10th overall. He should be putting up 70 points. Cale Makar, though, will put up 70 points, and he is very much deserving of the medium franchise. Why would he not be? He is Cale Makar. It's insane. Devon Taves as well, just defensively is so good next to Makar. Bowen Byram also looking decent. It does start to drop off a little bit for Colorado from there. Shout out to Enforcer, by the way, Andreas Anglin. Curtis McDermott just missed out. Goaltender-wise, Georgiev and Francouz also there. Columbus, your goaltending has really taken a nosedive. Elvis Merzlikins in particular has had it real bad as of late. Some people say, oh, well, the team in front of him's hurt. Again, my argument will always be Antti Ranta put up a 930 behind the Coyotes team 6 years ago. No one else has an excuse. This Blue Jackets team, though, it's interesting. You talk about their band of merry men. It's Zach Werenski and his band of merry men because Gavrikov has taken a bit of a nosedive. Boqvist barely qualifies as a prospect and keeps those abilities. So, and then there's Eric Goodbranson. He's still hanging around. That's about as bad of a contract as you would have suspected. Patrick Laine still rocking at an 87. Just misses out on the golds. Might earn them back by the end of the year. Kirill Marchenko, Igor Chinnikov. Blue Jackets are another interesting one, though, too, in terms of some of the younger talent that they have, mixed in with some, of course, high-end talent like Johnny Gaudreau. They are missing Jake Voracek, though. Due to his issues, he has been moved out to an international team. And then, shout out to the captain, one Boone Jenner. Sean Corrali there. And then, Ken Johnson, again, someone who was drafted. Last year, he was fucking awesome. He gets the high elite. Would have started at a medium elite. But, interesting Blue Jackets team to kind of take within franchise mode and try to build up through. There is Dallas, who are also a very interesting team. Rupe Hintz is phenomenal. Tyler Seguin, bouncing back a little bit. Wyatt Johnston is looking very, very promising. Or some veteran talent surrounding. And then there's the man, Jason frickin' Robertson. If you are somehow someone who doesn't put respect on Jason Robertson, again, remember, that's statistically and analytically, and he's still worth a 93. He is unbelievable. He is my favorite non-Boston Bruin in the league right now. Hands down. It's not even close. The guy's unreal. And then there's Joe Pavelski, who is an absolute ageless wonder. And shout out to, for those of you who remember Totally Spanish, shout out to Kiviranta. We'll love him forever. Defensively, Miro Heiskanen is also very, 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 very good. Esa Lindell is a phenomenal defensive defenseman. And then Nils Lundqvist actually barely retains. It was worth the risk for Dallas to bring him in, although who knows what the Rangers will do with that pick. Then again, that pick could end up being St. Louis's now. Jake Ottinger is also just phenomenal. Wedgwood out behind him. Detroit, of course, one Alex Nedeljkovic is in the minors, so we'll get a look at him when we run through the AHL at a later time. Moritz Seider, no longer the highest-rated defender on this team. That's going to be Philip Hronek, but Seider, of course, is still just ridiculous. He is absolutely ridiculous. And so is Ben Sherratt, because he got traded for a first-round pick last year. Speaking of absolutely ridiculous. On the wing, David Perron, still looking good. Lucas Raymond, still looking good. Philip Zadina, barely worth the Silvers. By the end of this year, he might lose them. He's not the only surprise, I would say, on this team in that regard. Of course, Bertuzzi, Kubalik, Robbie Fabry, and then Jonathan Berggren. That's a player to watch out for. That is just such an Yzerman pickup to have gotten Berggren. Actually, was Yzerman there in 2018? Regardless, it's a Detroit pickup to get a Swede of Jonathan Berggren's caliber. And then the rest of the way, Dylan Larkin, for however long he'll be on this team. Version 2 of my updates will be out post-deadline, where Larkin will likely be on a different club. As crazy as that is. Oscar Sundqvist. And then Joe Veleno is the other guy who just barely holds on to Silvers. But again, he's a grinder. He has basically no offensive touch whatsoever. He's always going to be a bottom sixer within franchise. Edmonton, the man himself. You got a preview at Connor McDavid, of course, if you watch that breakdown. But yeah, it's Connor frickin' McDavid. Make everything 99. He doesn't really check, of course, but he does pretty much everything else. Leon Draisaitl is also just so stupidly good. And then the likes of Ryan McLeod, Derek Ryan, Devin Shore. On the left, it is one Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Of course, Evander Kane's there. Matthias Janmark, Warren Fogle, Klim Kostin, and Dylan Holloway. Very, very promising prospect is Dylan Holloway. He also gets the medium elite. Don't be surprised that the Oilers use him on their roster in Season 1 within franchise mode, even in the top 6. And then from there, the right-hand side, Zach Hyman's phenomenal. He really is. Man, if the Leafs still had him and Michael Bunting on the same team, Jesus. Kyle Yamamoto, and then potential waiver player, Jesse Puljujarvi in the future. We're going to see how the hell that works out, because that might be a thing, apparently. Defensively, led very much by one Darnell Nurse. Tyson Barrie's not that bad. Evan Bouchard's looking very good. Kulak's good defensively. Ryan Murray with that 55 durability cannot stay healthy. Philip Broberg also looking pretty good, so Oilers fans will be able to be happy. And then Montreal's number one enemy, Vinny Desharnais, who got in that fight with Arbor Jacki. You got one Jack Campbell and Stuart Skinner, of course, high starters, so he gets that silver. Florida, led by one Sergei Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight, who within franchise mode takes over as their starter after year 1, basically. Defensively, of course, you got Aaron Ekblad, phenomenal shooter, Montour, Forsling, all those guys are so good. Radko Gudas, again, there's a cutoff potential overall-wise. He would have gold truck otherwise, and I didn't really want an 81 overall player having gold truculence. So that is the reason for that. Again, the explainer video covers all of it. Shout out to Matthew Tkachuk, who is ridiculous. Still think they regret letting go of Mackenzie Weegar, but and as well Patrick Hornqvist. You'll notice the salary had to drop that the Panthers are cap compliant within franchise mode. Left wing side, Carter Verhaeghe. Of course, Duclair's missed most of the season, but he's coming back hopefully very, very soon. Got Lomberg, Giovanni Smith as an enforcer. Dude fights like a madman. He's very entertaining to watch if you like hockey fights. Sasha Barkov obviously is amazing. Sam Bennett, Anton Lundell, still very, very, very promising. The LA Kings are another team that have a lot of promising players. They really, really do. Hence why they're in the Chikrin conversation. Shout out to Philip Deneau. Within franchise mode, the Kings starter GM is very likely to play Philip Deneau on the 4th line. Not much you can do about it, unfortunately. So just a heads up for that. Shout out to Jared Anderson-Dolan, Rasmus Kapari, both of whom are still promising. You'll notice Quentin Byfield, IRL, is on this roster. We sent him back down to Ontario so that he doesn't end up being like a healthy scratch in franchise to start off. Gets that starting time down with the Ontario Reign. You have Adrian Kempe, who is phenomenal. IXL follow, another tremendous defensive forward. Brendan Lemieux is very much an enforcer. And on that right-hand side, it does get even better for this team. Of course, Kevin Fiala is phenomenal. Victor Arvidsson, and then Gabe Vilardi. Was very, very surprised by him, but he keeps getting better. And then Arthur Kaliev as well, also looking pretty damn good. Defensively, it's a little bit hit or miss. They do still have Drew Doughty leading the way on that team. And yeah, like I said, it kind of drops off. Mikey Anderson, good defensively, but again, the statistical approach really, really hits him hard. I do like Jordan Spence, though, as a prospect. Goalies, Jonathan Quick, Phoenix Copley. Again, it is a 3-year rating scale, so while Phoenix Copley has done kind of okay, he's still under a sub-900 save percentage at the NHL level. He is factored in as an AHL goalie, where he wasn't very good, so it's not a super high rating for him. Minnesota, with, of course, Marc-Andre Fleury, Philip Gustafsson. Defensively, Jared Spurgeon, still very, very much leading the way. Jonas Brodin, one of the best defensive defensemen in the game. He has been for years. That Dumba's kind of slipped a little bit. Galen Addison, not bad. John Merrill, fucking rocket of a man. Look at him. Jacob Middleton, again, 3-year scale hurts Middleton a little bit, unfortunately. Matt Zuccarello is insane. Love Matt Zuccarello. Matt Boldy is tremendous. And then the trio of enforcers. Not to Marcus Foligno, but he fights a ton. I couldn't believe it. But Foligno, Ryan Reeves, and Brandon Duhaime. I will note that Ryan Reeves breaks the enforcer scale because he doesn't fight 10 plus times a season. But that is because people are afraid to fight him. So he was our exception to stay an enforcer with 99 fighting skill, because who the fuck dares to fuck with Ryan Reeves? Nobody. At least very few people. Kirill Kaprizov is, it's Kirill Kaprizov. The guy's unbelievable. Jordan Greenway, Connor Dewar, not bad. Mason Shaw. Then at center, you got Eric Sinek, who is still pretty damn good. Ryan Hartman, who's very good at passing the puck. And Sam Steele. Habs fans, are you ready for this? I think I'm going to win back some brownie points in the province. We start off with these centers. Nick Suzuki, still rocking the medium elite with gold wheels. Now, I do have to note this, and I should have noted this sooner. Gold wheels, the best way in this game to replicate someone being a play driver is with speed. So I'm not saying that Nick Suzuki or whoever is as fast of a skater as like a Connor McDavid, who does have gold wheels as well, but it is to show that they are an offensive play driver in the game. Again, it's stupid, but you can't perfectly meld together like all of the real life aspects that you want to within how the video game works. So if you see gold wheels and it's like, oh, why does that guy have wheels? It's because he's an offensive play driver, and that's really in the game the only way to perfectly replicate it. Elected to keep Kirby Dach, by the way, as a high elite too. Despite Chicago trading him, you really don't see a negative like regression in his upward trajectory. Speaking of which, I will accept payment in the form of some of your finest poutine, because Cole Caulfield is ungoddamn believable, and he deserves it. He does. He deserves it. He has just gotten better and better and better since being drafted. He absolutely deserves it. Harvey Pinard, by the way, by the end of this season, he'll be up over a 75. He's already gotten better for me in terms of the ratings this year. And then there are some others who have gotten a little bit worse. Josh Anderson, Brendan Gallagher. Was very surprising to see Gally with that low of a rating. Shout out to Alex Belzile, I believe it is. Belzile. He just scored his first NHL goal. It's pretty cool. Defensively, they are the worst team in the league, at least for who is on this roster to start. With Michael Matheson, David Savard, Edmondson. You do have Jordan Harris, who I like Jordan Harris a lot. The Habs would be smart as an organization to keep him around for a very long time. That guy's captain material. Chris Weidman, Justin Barron is awesome. That was a great pickup. Arbor Jackeye. Now, a lot of people will be disappointed in the high 7th potential. I get the hype, but he was undrafted, so think he would have started at high AHL top 2 for me, and he's already gone up from medium 7th to high 7th. He is getting better season after season and is an enforcer to punch people in the face. So, yes, he might start off in the minors, but he is a usable defensive enforcer within franchise. And then shout out to Jake Allen, who makes it so that, he's pretty much had an 84 for me for the past couple of years. But now that Carey Price isn't right next to him, it doesn't look as bad. Nashville with one of the best goaltenders in the game, UC Saros. Also got Kevin Lankinen. Actually isn't that bad. Defensively, I was very surprised by Nashville here. Roman Josi is obviously insane. It's Roman Josi. Ekholm kind of declining a bit offensively, so it hurts the rating a bit. Ryan McDonough has not looked good in Nashville, at least compared to Ryan McDonough standards. I was very excited to see Ekholm, McDonough, and Josi as their big three, and it just hasn't quite been there from the outside looking in. Shout out to Matt Duchene. And another enforcer, Tanner Jeannot. He fights all the goddamn time. I couldn't believe it, how much that guy fights. Philip Forsberg's a beautiful mustache. Niederreiter, Yakov Trenin, and Cole Smith, who just signed a new contract. So all contracts are up to date. You got Ryan Johansson leading the way for their centers. Worth noting, Juuso Parssinen, again, late round draft pick, gets low elite because he has been on an upward trajectory since being drafted. Is a healthy scratch. Most times you load up franchise mode if you're not using Nashville. Kind of a shame. Even sending him down to the minors and then loading into franchise doesn't work. So, just a heads up on that. Jack Hughes. Some people might disagree with two-way, but the reason why he's a two-way is because his defense is really fucking good, too. Like, he has just emerged as one of the league's best. Devils fans, you already know. But yeah, Jack Hughes gets proper respect with these rosters. He is insane. And he is not the only higher rated player on this team. We get over to Jesper Bratt rocking an 87. There's Dawson Mercer up there. He's only looked better since being drafted. Alex Holt still looking decent with the Silvers. And defensively, here we go. I like this defense quite a bit. It is Dougie Hamilton, who was, of course, phenomenal. Damon Severson. He's not like the best offensive defenseman, but he's a really good offensive play driver. That was surprising. John Marino, great defensive defenseman with 92 awareness. Jonas Siegenthaler, maybe the best defensive defenseman in hockey right now. He is insane. Ryan Graves, Brendan Smith, and then again, Kevin Ball should be there, but to not have him be a healthy scratch in season 1, I send him down. And then Vitek Vanacek and Mackenzie Blackwood. Of course, we took out Jonathan Bernier. Blackwood is not what he used to be looking like. Islanders with Ilya Sorokin. Just a king of a goalie. He is absolutely unbelievable. Defensively, though, this is what I was very surprised by. Pelech and Pulock especially have just kind of really fallen off a cliff this season, and it really, really hurt their ratings. I was very, very surprised by that. Shout out to Sam Bolduc, though. He's looking pretty damn promising for the Islanders. Right-hand side, still a little bit shaky. Palmieri, Bailey. Cal Clutterbuck, who still hits everything that moves. It's hilarious. Someone else who would have gold truck if I didn't have the overall cap. Left-hand side, Anders Lee, the captain. Zach Parise, Grinder, Matt Martin, Enforcer Ross Johnston, of course. And then at center, Bo Horvat. Look, I get that the Canucks got a decent return, man. I do, but that's a move. Like, I get for the Islanders, it's risky, but you chose JT Miller over him, huh? Not that JT Miller's bad, but that was a choice. For the New York Rangers, of course, their top player is looking damn good. Mika Zibanejad with gold 1T. Filipino, Barclay Goodrow, who was almost an enforcer, for God's sakes. He fights a ton. On the left, Chris Kreider, gold big tipper. Artemi Panarin, gold all alone for breakaways. Lafreniere still very much in prospect territory. Still keeps a high potential for now. Again, Vladimir Tarasenko, we gave him a silver magnetic, especially after how he scored his first goal as a Ranger. His immediate ability to settle down a puck is ridiculous. It really is. Defensively, speaking of ridiculous, Adam frickin' Fox just destroys in franchise mode. Keandre Miller, great defensively. Jacob Trouba, he's very good at hitting people. That's about it. Decent offensive play driver too, but that's where he stands out, is hitting people. Sometimes legally, sometimes not. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Of course, Igor is phenomenal. And then Yaroslav Halak is still a serviceable backup goaltender. Ottawa, now they're going to have a potential that surprises some people, and you know what? That's okay. I stand by it. Like I said, the process with potentials of letting people have fun with their actual team's prospects instead of having to rely on others within franchise mode. We focus on upward trajectory. Jake Sanderson's legit, man. You look back at him being drafted in the 2 years since, what he's doing now with the Senators, Jake Sanderson looks fucking awesome. So Sens fans, you are going to get to have a whole lot of fun with Jake Sanderson on your team. Both, of course, playing out Be a Pro, franchise mode. Again, these rosters are usable within Be a Pro. You just have to start at the NHL level instead of starting off in junior, and everything will be there. Yeah, it's looking pretty decent for the Sens. Alex DeBrincat is there. Of course, 3-year scale, so Brady not quite there. But again, you see tremendous offensive awareness, great offensive play driver, hence the wheels. Again, not saying Brady Tkachuk is as fast as Connor McDavid. You have to take some creative liberties. And Timmy Stützle, he deserves it as well. He really, really does. He has been phenomenal in terms of just getting better and better. Josh Norris as well, I think, his hype kind of derailed a little bit. Missing the season, of course, after just playing 4 games, but he is also deserving of hype. So Sens fans, you're going to have fun with your rosters. Philadelphia, we kept Sean Couturier in because apparently he might play before the end of the season. Morgan Frost still got a little bit of hype, a little bit. It's an interesting team, to say the least. You do have enforcer Nick Delorier, of course. And then on the right, another guy who hasn't played at all this season, Cam Atkinson. So a couple of big losses. Wade Allison, what a beauty. Look at that guy. And Tanner Lashinsky with the mustache. He's great. Got an enforcer and Zach McEwen. And then defensively, yeah, it's not quite as good as you'd think. Travis Sanheim, analytically great, statistically, driven down a little bit. There's this guy. And this guy. Cam York, though, is another one. I'm telling you, since being drafted in 2019, look at his seasons. He gets better and better and better and better, and we replicate that within the potentials as well. Flyers fans, you're going to be allowed to have fun with Cam York within franchise. And let's be honest, you need all the fun you can get because you have to deal with this contract. But hey, he's big, Finnish, and he hits. So, he's cool. He's cool in my books. And then Carter Hart, who was one of the more difficult players to try and rate because it's like, is he good? Bad team? Where's he at? But still a decent rating for Carter Hart. Pittsburgh, with the likes of Tristan Jarry. Can he stay healthy? The answer is no. No, he cannot. Defensively, led by Christopher Letang, who is still phenomenal. You got Jeff Petrie, Marcus Pettersson, analytical god. Analytical god. He'd be an 87 if I didn't factor in statistical output. Remember when Mark Friedman was a low elite or something like that? Didn't quite pan out. Then P.O. Joseph there as well. Still promising. Right-hand side, it is one Brian Rust, Carter Kell, Kasperi Kapanen, and Josh Archibald. Left side looking a little bit better. Jake Gensel, again, great play driver, hence the wheels. Jason Zucker, Mark Donk, Buzz Flibbit, all the boys are here. Almost forgot to look at Drew O'Connor. And Sidney Crosby still maintaining a 90, which is not easy to do for someone 35 years old, but Sid is still fucking electric. Again, doesn't get beauty backhand. I know that's the reason the ability's in, but in terms of like who's scored the most backhand goals over the past couple seasons, he's actually not at the upper echelon anymore. That's not to say I don't think Sidney Crosby deserves beauty backhand, but again, I had to quantify it with numbers, and he's actually not up there in terms of total backhand goals. And again, Gino, I'm not saying he's an amazing skater, but we had to give him the skating and the wheels to replicate good play driving. I will keep bringing home that point because people are going to be like, oh, Malkin's not that fast. Some people, we call them dicks, but that's okay. San Jose with Tomas Hertl, Logan Couture, Nico Sturm. Couture just missed out on getting all alone as well. He would have had it. Again, had he hit the mark of just a little bit higher of an overall. Timo Meier, future Boston Bruin, please. Oh my God, I don't care if the qualifying number's 10 million and they'd have to flip him at the drafts or even lose him for nothing. I don't even care. Jonah Gadjevich, he fights a lot. See, you got one Kevin LeBanc, Alex Barabanov, Luke Kunin, who's done for the year, unfortunately. Michael Asimov. Defensively, the return of the king, Erik Karlsson, has really returned back to form. He was down around 83, 84 not all that long ago. Shout out to Matt Benning, by the way. If you want your team to go get an underrated defender at the draft, tell them to call the Sharks about Matt Benning. Very, very underrated. I was impressed. Good passer of the puck, very good defensively. Respect Matt Benning is what I have learned. Respect Matt Benning. Damn it. And then goaltending wise, well, it's a thing. James Reimer, the Magic Angel robot from Winnipeg. Apple Kakinen. Seattle, shot to Philip Grubauer, who is the worst goaltender on this team. He has been absolutely abysmal since signing that deal. But way to secure the bag, buddy. Vince Dunn, really broken out this year. He earns that higher rating, and rightfully so. He has been very, very good for Seattle, easily their best defenseman. Of course, they just acquired Jacob Megna. See on the right, Andre Burakovsky. A very, very good pickup for them as well. Bjorkstrand not quite hitting the highs that he once hit. Of course, he was still acquired for dirt cheap from Columbus. So stupid. Jared McCann, still looking pretty good. Of course, he's really found his home. Ellie Tolvanen, Jesus Christ, the fact that Nashville put him on waivers. Brutal. And then down the middle, Yanni Gord, Alex Wenberg, Matty Beniers he's a beast. He really is. So good. It's a shame he missed out on All-Star Weekend, even though that was boring as shit. St. Louis, without, of course, Vladimir Tarasenko. You do still have Robert Thomas, Braden Shen, Ryan O'Reilly. Of course, for how much longer with Ryan O'Reilly, we flat out don't know. On the left, Pavel Buchnevich is still their best forward. He is, again, another rather underrated player in the NHL. Shout out to Brandon Saad as well. He's still very useful. But yeah, Pavel Buchnevich does not get nearly enough respect. Again, from both viewpoints, he is awesome. Of course, Jordan Kyrou is still very, very good as well. I found out Blues fans hate Tyler Pitlick, and they hate their defense, as they should, because none of their top three are playing like they are paid to be. And again, like I said, Colton Parayko, I don't remember if I mentioned it in this or the previous video, but I can't give him proper shooting power. I explain why in that other explainer. Trust me, I know. Colton Parayko is a fucking cannon. If you could fire a cannon out of a cannon, and then while that cannon's in air, it fires the cannonball, that would be Colton Parayko's shot. But I can't get the game to properly replicate that. Because otherwise he will score more than he actually does. So again, all of this with the attributes explained in that other video from either earlier today or yesterday. Check it out if you have not. Shout out to Jordan Binnington. If the fragile male ego had a human embodiment, Tampa with Andrei Vasilevsky. It's the most clutch goalie of our times. Defensively, it's a bit weird, but yeah, Hedman is still awesome, and again, a great play driver. Mikhail Sergachev is awesome. Ian Cole, kind of underrated. Weird start to his year. Shout out to Nick Perbix, who apparently exists. Zach Bogosian still hanging around. Kucherov, of course, is awesome. He doesn't play defense, but offensively, he's great. It's Nikita Kucherov. We don't need to explain that. Slightly higher overall. Kalorum would have had Big Tipper. Brandon Hagel. Some players did deserve silvers, but didn't necessarily deserve it for anything. So it's like, well, you deserve abilities based on the overall. Have the random ones that no one else gets. There had to be some trolling. Don't worry, we'll get to Vancouver. There's a pretty big troll coming up. And then at center, LOL, Steven Stamkos, two-way, because he actually plays defense. Like, you could argue playmaker, you could argue sniper. Steven Stamkos does it all now. Future Hockey Hall of Famer. He's unreal. And then Braden Point as well. The fact they have those two at center is just stupid. It really is. The Toronto Maple Leafs, led by one Austin Matthews. Also, John Tavares, lower rating than I would have expected. Really would have expected him to be a higher rated player, but again, from both viewpoints, not quite. Pontus Holmberg, though, one of the low elites, perhaps a late bloomer. Michael Bunting, leading the way for left wings. Yarncrow, Caston Reese. Nick Robertson, of course. Shame about his injury issues. And then on the right, I mean, it's Mitch Marner, who's awesome. William Nylander, who's awesome. Pierre Engvall's pretty solid. Still got Wayne Simmons, Joey Anderson kicking around. Defensively, it's an interesting story for them, and I'll scroll down because Mac Hollowell is hiding down there at the bottom. But Morgan Riley, of course, doesn't really play defense. He also doesn't hit. Mark Giordano blocks shots like nobody's business. That's pretty cool. TJ Brody, excellent defensively, still unbelievable. Got Justin Hall, the team's biggest scapegoat. He's not that bad, guys, I promise. But again, statistically and analytically, he's not that bad, but your eye test says he's shit, so I'm sure he is. I look forward to the comments about him being higher than Rasmus Sandin. And then goaltending-wise, Ilya Samsonov and Matt Murray, based off of the prior seasons, they're kind of evened out. Murray, of course, can't really stay healthy. I actually do have to drop that durability for Matt Murray, so I will make a note for that. There will be some random stuff like that, I'm sure, that I've missed. Because, again, I've edited the vast majority. Literally every play in the NHL, AHL, and any NHL-relevant junior player. It's a lot. It's a lot. The Vancouver Canucks, Thatcher Demko, I mean, much like the player picture, he's kind of seen better days. Obviously a really rough season for everybody there. Defensively, at least they have Quinn Hughes. Is the best thing that I can say. He is absolutely fantastic. Then there's OEL. Ethan Bear is okay. Tyler Myers. God help Leafs fans if that rumor's true. It's not good, Vancouver. It's not good. Right-hand side starts off okay. Connor Garland, Brock Besser, still solid players. Beauvillier's all right. Really more of a third-line guy at this point. Of course, Stud, we miss you, but yeah. Left wing side is JT Miller. Canucks fans hate him, but he puts up points. Analytically, he's not terrible. Again, there's no real way to quantify him giving effort. I do want to mention about Andrei Kuzmenko. Again, it's a 3-year scale. KHL, lower ratings for the high-end KHL players as opposed to them being in the NHL. For the start of this year, he would have been a 78. From October to February, he's already up to an 82. He's going to be fine. He's going to keep getting better as I put out these updates throughout the rest of the year. I am sure of it. So, and then Elias Pettersson is he's a freak. He's so good. So good. But yeah, their center depth now without Bo Horvat is looking rough. Speaking of looking rough, Jack Eichel, things have kind of changed for you a little bit, Jack. Things have changed a little bit. Is still, certainly not bad, but not quite the super high-end talent that you once were. Likes of Michael Amadio. If I were to say Leafs legend for every former Leaf, we would have been here for a long, long time. Mark Stone, still phenomenal. Hopefully we haven't seen the last of him this season. Phil Kessel's hanging in there. I respect it. And then defensively, shout out to Alex Pietrangelo and Shea Theodore. Both great play drivers, generating a whole lot of offense. Nick Hague, we'll still love you forever for rebuilding Hockey Town. And then goaltending-wise, again, Leonard is out. His future very much in doubt. So it's Aiden Hill, Logan Thompson, and Laurent Brassois. Brings us to our final two. We start off in Washington, Darcy Kemper and Charlie Lindgren. Defensively, still some underrated guys here. John Carlson, still an awesome OFD. Dmitry Orlov, pretty damn solid as well. Eric Gustafsson and Nick Jensen have both been very good this year for Washington. So respect to those two that they very, very much deserve. Tom Wilson, elite defensively, was not something that I knew about Tom Wilson's game. But yeah, aside from hitting people in the brain, he's also very good in that regard. Connor Brown's also very good too. It's a shame he got injured after 4 games. Depending on what the Caps do at the trade deadline, I might have to move him to LTIR and move him over to an international team. For now, he stays. Because again, his future's not so much in doubt. It's just that he missed the season. Ovi, of course, still has just the killer shot. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't hit as much as he used to. And again, in general, we had to lower the fighting skill because he's basically set to never at this point. His last fight was actually him nearly ending Andrei Svechnikov's career in the playoffs. That was... oof. And then Nick Backstrom, shout out to Dylan Strome. Good contract extension for the Caps. Kuznetsov is not really good. I don't know what's going on with him, but yeah, he's fine, but not worth that money. And then it's Winnipeg to round out this video. As we have Mark Scheifele, who was still awesome. Pierre-Luc Dubois, still pretty good. Adam Lowry, David Gustafsson. On the left, could have been a Bruin. Kyle Connor. Ruins me every day. Cole Perfetti, Morgan Barron. And then are you ready for this? Dare I say, the most comically handsome person in the NHL. Like, it's stupid. He should be on the cover of magazines. He really should be. Axel Jonsson-Falby. Look at this person. Jesus Christ. Look at the hair. Like, he should be on the cover of romance novels. It's just not fair. Some guys have all the luck. Holy fuck. We go over Nick Ehlers. Ehlers is also still phenomenal. Blake Wheeler, you got stripped of your captaincy. Still pass the puck. Mason Appleton. Former Bruin Carson Coolman. Defensively, it's... they have Josh Morrissey, of course. Great play driver. Great play driver. Brendan Dillon. Nate Schmidt. Neil Pionk. Rangers legend. Logan Stanley. Dylan Sandberg. Kyle Capobianco. And then, of course, we rounded out in goal with Connor Hellebuck. And... well, the Flames fans, he was Big Save Dave. The Leafs fans, he was No Save Dave. And that does it for the NHL. This is my favorite video that I make every single year because I can't wait for the comments. What about this? What about that? How could you this? How could you that? What's with the 99s? I can't wait. I seriously can't wait. I'm so excited to read them. Thank you for watching. And again, we'll be back soon covering some of the other leagues to showcase, yeah,